What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? So UFC 312 is officially in the books. It's a good card. It's a good card. I'm going to go over the main card because that's what I do my predictions and my breakdowns on. So that's what I'll be going over here. Overall, I thought it was a really good card. I did really, really well as far as my picks. The first fight, Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. Round number one, close round. Matthews edged it out with significant hooks. When these guys would get in the pocket and start trading, Matthews, had better in close striking. And I think, too, he also showed that he was willing to throw more combinations. Prado was throwing 1-2 punches at a time, whereas Matthews would, 3-4 punch combinations in there, and I think that really did him well there. Prado did land a couple of good leg kicks and a late takedown. Round number two, Matthews had good body work. Prado continued with strong leg kicks, clinched against the fence. Close round was the second round. The rest of them I didn't think were that close. Prado's leg kicks versus Matthews' punches, basically. Matthews landed several good left hooks throughout this fight, especially in the third round. There were quite a few head clashes, and that was just the style. Prado always, when he came in, he always ducked his head. And when, these guys probably clashed heads at least 3 or 4 times. I know Prado was actually bleeding because of that, but the result of it, Matthews won that by unanimous decision right across the board, 30-27. And I don't know, man. Matthews called out Neil Magny, which I felt some sort of way about that. I'm like, everybody's beating Neil at this point, bro. I kind of felt like that was a weak call out, picking on an older standout, not even really a gatekeeper at this point, is Neil Magny. So I did think that was kind of a weak call out for Jake Matthews. I was a little surprised that he made that call out. Either way, he won the fight against Prado pretty convincingly. But Prado's 22 years old, man, so he's a really young kid, still has a lot to learn. He didn't get completely dominated. It was one of those, it was a 30-27, but Prado still had his moments. Being a 22-year-old kid, that's his first loss there. I think all in all, he looked pretty good, and he'll learn from that. So moving on up the card, Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo. Actually, Rodolfo, if you're a stickler about the Portuguese saying there, Balato. That was a war. Really, really, really good fight. The first round, Crute pretty much dominated, landing a spinning back kick, controlling the ground position, rocking Bellato with a right hand. The second round, there were some very high-paced exchanges. Bellato started to pick it up quite a bit in the second round with his leg kicks. The leg kick slowed Crute down. Crute landed several good uppercuts. Bellato kind of came on stronger during that second round, and you actually started to see the low leg kicks starting to kind of cause Crute to walk gingerly on that leg, and that had me concerned for him because Crute is one of the few guys that I've seen in a fight before where he had that like dead leg syndrome, and I don't remember who it was that he was fighting against, but the fight happened a couple of years back, and he literally, they had to stop the fight because he couldn't stay up on his leg. It kept buckling, kind of like Sean O'Malley had with Chito Vera that time. So I was a little bit concerned about that happening to him. That never did happen. He was able to kind of, hold it together. But in the third round, Crute started to slow down pretty significantly, predominantly, I think, due to the leg kicks. Bellato secured a takedown. There in the third round as well, landed quite a few jabs. I'm very, very rarely okay with a majority draw. This is one of those where I was okay with the majority draw. Crute pretty much dominated the first round. Bellato started to come back in the second round. I think the second round could have kind of gone either way because Jimmy Crute was still having some good success in the striking realm when those guys got in close together. And then the third round, I think Bellato definitely won that. He started to come on a little stronger as Jimmy Crute started to do the opposite, started to wane a little bit. But Crute was dominant in that first round. So this is one of those I wasn't too mad at it. It was a good fight, fun fight. I actually picked Bellato to win that, but it was a majority draw. So good fight. In my opinion, it was about the best one on the main card. After that, Justin Tafa versus Taliesin Teixeira. This did not last long. Teixeira got him out of there in under a minute, landed a high kick, then he immediately clinched with Tafa, and then he came over top with a elbow that just bloop, melted Tafa to the mat, and Teixeira wins that by TKO in a total of 35 seconds. Tell you what, man, that dude is a force to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division. You can't get hit with an elbow by a dude that big in close range and not expect to crumble. And you could see in Tafa's face after I hate to see him lose in front of his home crowd like that, but you can see in his face he was kind of like, what happened? I mean, he was almost for a second there contesting the stoppage, but it was clear he was completely out of it. So it was one of those that I think it short circuited him for a minute, and he kind of didn't know what was going on. But huge win for Teixeira in that division. That's actually his first fight in the UFC. He did have a fight in the Contender Series that he won, but his first official fight in the UFC on a main card against a veteran like Tafa. Really, really big win for Teixeira. Expecting big things from him in the heavyweight division. Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez. Wow. Round one, Suarez secured a takedown and kept side control for most of the first round. Weili escaped a guillotine about halfway through the first round. Then she was able to get to her feet. That's pretty much it. Everything I just said right there was pretty much every highlight that Tatiana Suarez had on this fight. All right. I've picked all these correctly so far. The only one I didn't is I picked Rodolfo Bellato to beat Jimmy Crute. That was actually a draw. I did pick Teixeira to beat Justin Tafa. Zhang Weili, I thought that if she could kind of either stay away from the takedowns and the wrestling of Suarez, that she would definitely be the better striker and would be able to win this. One part that didn't surprise me is that she was able to stay away from the takedowns because Zhang Weili is actually a really good grappler as well. And in her last couple of fights, she's been utilizing that quite a bit. So what we found is that Suarez really couldn't even take her down. And then when she did, when she was able to kind of halfway get her down, Zhang Weili, being the stronger athlete, was able to, spin her shoulders on her, get her on her back, and then she was able to most of the time land in top position. With the exception of that first round takedown by Tatiana Suarez, she literally had no luck whatsoever with the takedown. And I already said her strikes are less than average at best. And it really was a testament. And we talk about it all the time. These people who come in here to the top level and think they're going to compete with someone like Zhang Weili, who is a really talented, full MMA artist all around, right? And, we talk about these people coming in here with one game plan. That game plan is grappling. And if that fails, they have no plan B. They have no backup plan, no ability to be able to stand and strike. And it showed that. I mean, Suarez she was winded from trying her best to desperately hold Weili down, and then she wasn't even able to win the grappling exchanges. And then on into the fight, it got to the point where she already is not a great striker, was getting caught with right hands from hell by Weili, but she was slow. Anything she did throw looked like a fish out of water. It looked like a grappler trying to throw a strike. Slow, very, very, telegraphing everything, and you could see it coming from a mile away. She just really, she didn't have any luck, guys, whatsoever. The second round, Whaley reverse takedown attempts, landed a right hand and a high kick, showed her grappling strength over Suarez, and I think that's what surprises me. I couldn't believe that Suarez was actually the favorite in this fight, and it just goes to show you that you get these girls like Suarez coming up here, and yeah, they're 11-0, and yeah, they haven't lost, and all that's good, and they're going in there and dominating these girls in the realm of grappling and stuff like that, but who are they fighting? And I talked about this before the fight. I'm not saying that Jessica Andrade is a can, but Jessica Andrade is the best top level opponent that Tatiana Suarez has faced prior to this, right? And if you look at the rest of her opponents, nowhere even near that caliber. And there's such a huge gap between the champion and then some of these number 4, 5, 6, 7th ranked contenders in the women's division. The women's division, I still think, has a long way to come in terms of the spread of talent from the champion to even the top 5, top 6 girls, So, she comes in there 11-0, but she's obviously beating people who are nowhere near even close to the caliber of MMA artists as someone like Zhang Weili. And it showed tonight. Tatiana Suarez got completely dominated. I picked Weili to win. I didn't really think that she was going to win that dominantly, but she absolutely did. Round 3, Weili actually hurt Suarez with a big overhand right. Suarez takedown attempts at that point started to be shrugged off by Weili. In fact, Weili was reversing them quite frequently. Landed several good elbows in the clinch. Weili was grounding and pounding her from the bottom, side control, and then half guard. And at one point, I thought she was going to get a head and arm choke. Suarez ended up getting out of that, but really, Weili just complete and total domination by her in this fight. Really still showing her dominance in that strawweight division there. Round 5, Suarez corner advised aggressive pursuit. You better get in there. You better do something. You better do anything. But listen, when you don't have any skills on the feet and when you're a one-trick pony, what else can you really do? She did what she could. She tried to dive for the legs again. She tried to dive for another takedown. She tried pushing her up against the fence. But it's one thing to be completely outclassed on the feet by another fighter, and the only hope that you have is to get them down where you're at your strongest, only to find out that they're actually stronger than you in that area, too. So, really bad spot to be for Tatiana Suarez tonight. I hope she learns from this, and I hope that this is a lesson for her. Hey, you want to fight in MMA. This is not a wrestling tournament. This is not a jiu-jitsu tournament. If you want to fight in MMA and compete at the top level, you have to be able to do all of it, especially in 2025. This day and age, you cannot be a one-trick pony. That's what we saw tonight. Tatiana Suarez is a one-trick pony, and even the stuff that she was supposed to be dominant and really good at, turns out Weili was even better than her in those areas as well, or at least as good. I would say better. Some of it, I think, had to do with the fact that Suarez was getting beat up some on the feet and stuff as well. So I think it made her more tired, made her more gassed. This is her first, to be fair, this is her first championship opportunity. Maybe she, well, a horrible analogy for a woman, but maybe she blew her load in the first round and just didn't have a whole lot left in terms of energy and stuff like that, because she definitely looked worse for wear. Did Suarez on into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, and Weili was still very fresh, and you could see the difference in not just the caliber of fighter from the stand up and the ground position, but also in terms of experience. You know, Wei Li fought with a much more stoic, uh, type fight plan. I guess you could say she wasn't as like crazy. I mean, she knew what her plan was. She knew what she needed to do. She never got out of sorts. She never fought in a way that was not typical of her. She remained very stoic, very in control with her fight plan and with her techniques, and she just showed to be in better shape. Plus she's got the experience. She's used to being in those championship positions too, so she, knew how to kind of pace herself and not tire herself out. So, anyway, Tatiana Suarez, she's the American. I was pulling for her, obviously, but she got completely dominated. And I just want to say this was a unanimous decision win by Wei Li, but two of the judges had it 49-46. Let's just marinate on that for a minute. 49-46, 5 round fight. It went to a 5 round decision. Okay, so that means two of the judges would have had to have said that Suarez won two of those rounds. Or am I just completely, after watching MMA for 30 years, not understanding? Maybe I'm just not understanding. And maybe you guys are going to go down in the comments and be like, "You're a dumbass. That's not even how the scoring works." But I mean, one judge had it 49-45, which I can see that. You can definitely arguably give Suarez the first round. That's the only round. I don't know what judges gave Suarez another round. I really didn't even think any of them were close, to be honest. I thought that was 49-45 at best. And some of those rounds were just complete domination from Zhang Wei Li. So anyway, not going to keep going on about that. Wei Li keeps her belt. We'll see who's next for her. Moving on up to the main event. So basically, I picked all of these correctly, except for the Jimmy Crute Adolfo Bellato fight, which was a draw. This fight, I did pick Dricus du Plessis to win again. I picked him to win more dominantly this time. That's exactly what he did. Du Plessis landed quite a lot of high kicks, quite a lot of low kicks as well. Strickland finally started checking them. I'm American, guys. Obviously, I was hoping the American was going to bring the belt back to the States. Didn't happen. Strickland was just mostly defensive, landing his jab. Every once in a while, throw in the two in there. Round number two, du Plessis utilized more diverse attacks, body kicks, overhand rights, side kicks. Strickland landed one good counter right in the second round. Third round, du Plessis switched stances quite a lot. I mean, he really did this the whole fight, but it's something I noticed him doing quite a lot more in the third round. Landed a really sweet spinning back fist. Strickland landed a good body shot in that round and a good jab right hand combo. The nose got broken, and you could see immediately Sean Strickland starts grabbing for his nose. It turns out what he was doing was snapping it back into place. I mean, geez, whether you give him credit for his fighting style or not, I mean, dude's way tougher than I am. I would have been like, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have done that. But, I mean, I hate to even get hit in the nose. I know these kind of guys are kind of used to it. But to snap your shit back in place right in the middle of the fight, bleeding like a stuck pig, and then just continue fighting, I mean, Strickland's the man just for that. But the credit has to go to du Plessis. And I'm going to tell you right now, well, no, you know what? Let me finish the rounds, and then I'll kind of do an overall take and synopsis of it. So, Round four, Duplessis broke Strickland's nose. Strickland landed a right hand and a left. Was still landing a couple of shots here and there, but Duplessis started to slow a little bit in the fourth round, but it was just from beating Sean's ass, you know. And when Drickus fights, you know, you can really chalk up this fight, how it played out, and the strategies down to the fact that Dricus Duplessis has a very, very diverse attack in comparison to Sean Strickland. Again, I don't know what Eric Nixick and Sean Strickland had on the books. I don't know what they were planning to do. Obviously, Nixick was begging with Sean Strickland in the corner. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to go after it more. You got to have more offense. I don't know what specifics they worked on in their training camps, but this was just like the first one. You know, and when you got somebody like Dricus Duplessis, yeah, he might fight like the retarded kid on the short bus, but still, he's throwing leg kicks. He's throwing body kicks, and then he's going high, and then he's hitting you with a spinning kick. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, spinning kick. And then he's hitting you with a spinning back fist. And then he's hitting you with a spinning elbow. And then he's going back to the leg. And then he's kicking you to the body again. And then the next time he's going high. And then he's doing a step two, left, right. I mean, his diversity of attack is so superior to Sean Strickland. And don't get me wrong, Sean Strickland is very defensively sound, and he's really good at the few things that he does. Got the really sweet jab that, you know, busted Drickus up a couple of times, caught him pretty good with it. He's got the really sweet number two that comes right really close behind that jab. If he can get guys lined up just right, he can catch guys with that. He's got a teep, which he barely threw tonight. I mean, Sean Strickland's diversity of attack they're just not even on the same playing field. And really what it comes down to is Sean Strickland was not giving Dricus Duplessis enough to think about, whereas Sean Strickland had a million things to think about. You know, all Drickus had to worry about is trying to stay away from the jab and trying to make sure that he moves to Sean Strickland's weak side so he can avoid the two when it comes down the pipe. That's really all he had to worry about. Whereas Sean had to worry about getting kicked in the leg over and over. He had to worry about getting kicked to the body. He had to make sure he had his hand up here somewhere because Drickus likes to end his combinations with that high left kick. You know, Drickus crashed into him and spun on him a couple of times with a spinning back elbow one time that caught him really flush. Spinning back fist. Drickus is always throwing something, you know, overhand right, that a step in from the southpaw position, a step in overhand right, just going right over the top of Strickland's guard and hitting him with something. I mean, he's hitting Strickland and hitting his opponents with he's giving his opponents so many different looks. And I think, you know, that obviously coupled with really, really good cardiovascular conditioning, I think that's the nail in the coffin over Drickus's opponents. That's what Drickus has that his other opponents do not have. He, you know, and it might not always be the prettiest. It might not always be, you know, the most fluid, the most technical looking, you know, but I'm telling you what, man, it is effective. And I think the effectiveness of it is rooted in the fact that he has a very diverse attack. He's hitting you with a million different things, and he doesn't create a lot of patterns. He's doing different things almost every time. And when he's hitting you to the body 1 second, and then the next thing you know, he's kicking you to the leg. As soon as you start worrying about this and dropping your elbow to protect the body, then he goes up high with the question mark kick and whacks you across the face there. I mean, he's just always giving his opponent something to think about. And hey, man, I think it's genius. I think it's a genius strategy that he and his team have come up with. It works for him. It works for the type of athlete he is. He's also got the, being a very big, physically strong guy for that division. So he can always, push guys up against the fence in a clinch position, and he'll throw uppercuts from there. He's been known to throw knees from there. And, his diversity of attack is, I think, what makes him great. That is bar none, hands down, what makes him great. And I'm sure that Sean Strickland came into this fight, he and his team, with a different plan than what happened. And I guess he got in there and maybe, here's the thing. You can have a plan, right? But your plan can your plan can hit a brick wall when you go in there and the guy that is in front of you is throwing a lot of offense, and it's a lot of offense coming from different angles, and they're doing different things. It kept Sean, it was like, what? It kept him just trying to figure out where shit's coming from. Oh, what the hell? I mean, he probably thought the ref was hitting him. I mean, he did. Stuff's coming from all different angles at all times, and I give Du Plessis credit for that. I mean, brilliant fight by him. You can't give him all the credit without also looking at his opponent and kind of giving Sean Strickland a little bit of shit, saying, dude, if you want to fight on this level, I know you've been on this level, but, he's an older guy. I mean, he's 33. I don't know, man. I don't know. For me, if Sean Strickland, I don't know that he'll ever make it back up to a title shot again anyway, especially after Drick has put that nail in the coffin tonight. But if he does want to, and he wants to have a chance to, you gotta abandon the jab, the teep, and the two. And you gotta start mixing in some other techniques, dude. You just got to. You just can't survive on 2, 3, 4 techniques alone in there anymore, especially when you get up against the top. And what's worse is he only throws 1, 2 strikes at a time. He's never a guy to come in there and throw 3, 4 punch combination, not unless it's the last 30 seconds and he's desperately trying to land some sort of, fluke knockout victory or something. Then he'll do it. The last 30 seconds, Sean Strickland looks like a world beater in there. It's like, dude, and I said in the pre-fight thing, if he's not able to do a little bit of that, step into the pocket and actually go in on Du Plessis, he was not going to win this fight. And that's exactly what happened. But you know what? All credit to Du Plessis. I think his strategizing and his team's strategizing to fit what kind of athlete and what kind of fighter he is. I think they have a perfectly catered style to really complement the type of fighter and the kind of athlete that guy is. And you got to give him credit for that. He dominated that fight from pillar to post. Complete domination, man. Unanimous decision. Dominant performance, and that's all I can say. I don't want to keep talking around in circles about it. Dricus Du Plessis remains champion. I think he said, who's next? Is there no one else? To quote the great Achilles. And I think he was talking to Alex Pereira out there in the... I don't know, man. Based on what I see, I don't know. I don't even want to... That's a whole nother video. Let me not even go there. But I know Hamzat's out there. I don't know if Hamzat beats him either, based on what I saw tonight. I was really impressed with Dricus tonight. Yep, I really was. But that's what I got, guys. If you would, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. Let me know what the highlights of your night was. And, hey, I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.